Yeah, he's going to be a very special player, and he was the best high school hitter, pure hitter.
He can hit a ball 440 feet.
Makes a lot of contact. He's got very good speed, plus defender. Oh, man, he's so polished in every facet.
Look at this home run swing.
And the hype is real. He's a good hitter, and he's going to be a really, really good hitter for years to come.
The 2022 MLB draft became the first time ever the sons of former major leaguers were selected with the top 2 picks, but the draft in general was loaded with professional bloodlines. In fact, 4 of the first 18 picks were sons of big leaguers. Meanwhile, Kumar Rocker, who was taken 3rd, is the son of college football Hall of Famer Tracy Rocker, and 5th overall pick Elijah Green is the son of Eric Green, a 2-time Pro Bowler in the NFL. Based on pedigree alone, this was expected to be one of the strongest drafts in recent memory. However, as the 2026 season gets underway, this top 10 is trending towards being remembered as a major what-if story. Entering the 2022 MLB draft, the Orioles had the 1st overall pick, making the selection their 4th straight top 5 pick and their 2nd first overall selection in 4 seasons. Leading into draft day, it all seemed clear, and that being Drew Jones, the son of now Hall of Famer Andrew Jones, was the consensus #1 pick due in large part to his elite defensive tool, which some called Gold Glove caliber in high school, and the upside to have a potential high offensive ceiling. Despite what scouts called a can't-miss prospect who was the clear-cut #1 player in the draft, rumblings surrounding 4 other guys, that being Elijah Green, a player with the highest physical upside, Brooks Lee, the top-rated college bat, Jackson Holliday, a shortstop out of Oklahoma who catapulted up draft boards, and Tamar Johnson, a second baseman who scouts called the purest bat in the entire class. Minutes leading into the first pick being announced, the Orioles shocked everyone, drafting Jackson Holliday, the son of former big league all-star Matt Holliday, 1st overall, after his record-breaking senior season where he hit .685 with 17 home runs, 79 ribbies in 40 games, and more notably, he went on to break the national high school hits record with 89, breaking the record previously held by JT Realmuto. Orioles GM Mike Elias later went on to say Holliday was atop of their board from day 1. The top 10 ended with Drew Jones falling to 2nd and rounded things out with Gonzaga's Friday night starter Gabriel Hughes in the 10 spot. Guys, if you love videos like these, be sure to drop a like and subscribe so you don't miss the next video. Before we break down some of the players who are already drawing bust labels, let's look at the 4 guys who appear could have long major league careers. First, arguably the biggest shocker in the entire draft was probably Cade Horton out of Oklahoma, who was coming off Tommy John and was on the heels of a near 8 ERA in 2022, but one dominant College World Series start versus Ole Miss showed the organization everything they needed to see, as Horton went 7+, striking out a record 13 hitters, and flashed elite stuff, pushing his fastball up near the triple digits. As the Cubs said, they now viewed him as a frontline starter. They'd land the righty for nearly $1.2 million under the recommended slot value, which looks like as of today has paid off big time, as the next jaw-dropping moment would come right after the first 2 picks, and that was Kumar Rocker, a former Vandy standout who had a roller coaster journey leading up to this point. You see, Rocker was actually taken 10th overall in 2021 by the Mets and agreed on a $6 million deal. However, medical concerns pushed the organization in the other direction as both sides couldn't come to an agreement. Rocker opted to not return to Vandy, but instead prove himself playing independent ball in the Frontier League, where he made 5 starts, posting a 1.35 ERA, flashing his elite stuff as the fastball was up around 99. Projected to land in the back end of the first round, the Rangers made a splash, landing the righty and eventually signing him for $2.4 million under the recommended slot value, and despite going down to Tommy John in 2023, Rocker returned and has made 17 big league starts, and although his career ERA is approaching 6, the Rangers have made it clear they envision him as a middle of the rotation arm. The player considered the steal on draft day is current Twins infielder Brooks Lee, who was a surefire top 5 pick, but with surprises like Rocker and Horton coming off the board, he slid to 8th overall, where he was snagged up by the Twinkies in what they called a player who could be a foundational piece for the franchise. After making his professional debut in 2024, Lee's rapid rise through the system was briefly interrupted by a herniated disc, making 2025 the first opportunity for fans to see him navigate a full healthy season. In 2025, he played in 139 games, hitting 16 home runs, racked up 15 doubles, and posted a .654 OPS. Jackson Holliday, the draft's 1st overall pick, flew through the system, becoming just the 4th player ever to win both high school and minor league player of the year awards, and prior to the 2024 season was baseball's #1 ranked prospect. Holliday would begin his 2024 season spending 10 days in AAA before getting the call, where to be honest, it was a struggle. He struggled so much that 16 days after his debut, the Orioles sent him back to AAA, where he returned to the bigs and in late July. At just 21 years old and nearly 7 years younger than the competition, Holliday cracked the opening day roster in 2025 and wrapped up his year playing in his first full season, hitting .242 with 17 home runs, 55 RBIs, had 41 extra base hits with a .690 OPS. The final 6 players of the top 10 overall picks have put themselves into bust conversations, with many scouts and evaluators beginning to draw major concerns. Arguably the player with the least worry is Tamar Johnson, the 4th overall pick by the Pirates, who despite being stuck in A-ball for 2+ seasons finally made the jump to AA in 2025 and posted a career year hitting .272, and although we saw a dip in power, his elite eye remained and the strikeout rate dipped nearly 8% from 2024. Johnson had a career best 75.4% contact rate and finished the season strong, hitting .320 over his final 36 games of the season. Now a full-time second baseman, Johnson is likely blocked at the position after the acquisition of Brandon Lau and is likely ticketed for AAA in 2026, with 2027 likely being the first shot to prove himself at the big league level. Gabriel Hughes, the 10th overall pick by the Rockies out of Gonzaga, was widely considered the most durable arm in the draft, with an elite frame built to be a starter long-term, who had a high-octane fastball and a wipeout slider. Colorado snagged him for nearly $1 million under slot. However, the righty has struggled so far in his professional career. In 2023, Hughes had an ERA over 6, missed all of 2024 with Tommy John, returned in 2025 and showed some flashes of a potential big league starter. In 9 AA starts, the righty was solid, posting a 3.07 ERA and would earn his first promotion to AAA, where unfortunately he was set back with shoulder inflammation and struggled, making 14 starts with an ERA over 5, and his velocity dipped and sat around 93. The Rockies protected Hughes, adding him to the 40-man roster, as 2026 could prove to be a pivotal season for the righty. Virginia Tech standout Gavin Cross was taken 9th overall by the Royals, as the organization considered him a bat who could move through the system quickly and could stick in center field long term. This, however, hasn't panned out, as Cross just completed his age 24 season and has not made it out of AA. The lefty dealt with some health issues in 2023 and spent both 2024 and 2025 in AA, where he's hovered around a 700 OPS mark. Once ranked the Royals' #1 prospect, Cross has dipped to 17th overall, as the Royals will likely assign him to AA again in 2026 to allow him to conquer the level before a potential jump to AAA or even the big leagues. Jacob Berry, the purest college hitter in the draft, went 6th overall to the Marlins, as at the time the organization was in search of a quick-moving impact bat to pair with their pitching-heavy roster. Berry was that guy, having hit .370 at LSU, walking more than he struck out, as scouts labeled him a hit-over-power bat with an extremely high floor. Since then, it's been all but red flags for Berry, as his power is essentially gone and his long swing has given him struggles, especially versus velocity. The switch hitter has spent the majority of his minor league career in AA and AAA and is coming off what was a career year, hitting .261 with a 742 OPS in AAA. However, it appears the organization has given up hope, as they opted to not protect him from the Rule 5 draft, where he'd eventually go undrafted. The 5th overall pick in 2022, Elijah Green, was considered a quote-unquote unicorn with tools that were considered off the charts and had a 70 grade power and speed tool, and was said to almost certainly be good for 30+ home run power at the big league level. The Nationals were in the mix of a rebuild, as GM Mike Rizzo made it clear he prioritized high-risk, high-reward prospects and looked for players with a high ceiling rather than a high floor. Despite having just turned 22, so far the experiment has been a disaster for Green and the organization. Nearly 3 years later, the righty has yet to make it out of A-ball. In fact, the majority of his minor league career has been spent in low A, where he's posted historic strikeout numbers, leading all of the minor leagues in 2024 with 206 strikeouts, has hovered around a 40% strikeout rate each season, and is a career .219 hitter with a 677 OPS. What's even more concerning is the elite power hasn't showed up, as he's hit 29 home runs in over 1,200 plate appearances versus lower level pitching, and now the speed has disappeared, as after posting back-to-back 30+ stolen base seasons, Green had 18 in 2025. The organization went as far as sending him all the way back to rookie ball for a 20-game stint last season to undergo a mental reset in hopes of a complete mechanic overhaul. Still just 22 years old, if we don't see improvement in 2026, this could be the last of Green in the Nationals organization. And finally, Drew Jones, who was taken 2nd overall by the Diamondbacks after what appeared to be the clear-cut 1st overall pick. Jones was widely considered the best pure athlete in the class, as some labeled him the best complete player and a can't-miss prospect. The righty was elite defensively, with evaluators saying he was a Gold Glover in high school, with realistic realistic 5-tool potential and was very projectable, standing at 6'4", with a frame that suggested 25+ home run upside once he filled out. Out the gate, Jones suffered a torn labrum in his left shoulder during his very first batting practice session with the Diamondbacks that required season-ending surgery and wouldn't fully recover until 2024. The righty played the entire year in low A, showing some promise, hitting .275 in 109 games with an .813 OPS and racked up 29 extra base hits. The 2025 season was a unique one as Jones took home a Gold Glove. However, he took a step back offensively, hitting .255 in high A with a .694 OPS, and despite showing some gap-to-gap power as he had 25 doubles, the righty struggled mainly with hitting the ball on the ground, something that's often attributed to his bailout approach on his swings. Jones still draws his fair share of walks, however, despite not making it past A-ball, has struck out nearly 25% of the time, and the power is nowhere to be found as the righty has produced just 13 home runs in over 1,100 plate appearances. After once being a top 25 prospect in the sport and a top 5 in the D-back system, Jones now sits at 17 in the organization, and despite being only 22 years old, dare I say 2026 could be a make or break season.